Hey everyone, it's Michael Brook from Rapid Couples Counselling. I just thought I'd record today this brief video on the 6 agreements that most people make in a long-term relationship and why they're so important. So many times I get clients come to me and their relationship's in crisis, and sometimes they don't know exactly why, or there's just a feeling that something isn't right or something happened and they're really, really pissed about it and they don't quite understand why they're so intensely upset. And when that's going on, normally one of the 6 agreements have been broken. So, what are the 6 agreements and why is it important? Well, couples form these 6 agreements, either implicitly or explicitly at the beginning of the relationship, that tend to act as guidelines for their behavior. Now, these are often unspoken and often unwritten, although if you look at the traditional marriage ceremony and what people say in their marriage vows, these are more or less in those vows. So if these agreements are broken, typically profoundly negative emotional states are created. So they appear to be things that actually have a strong biological basis to them. There appears to be a strong cross-cultural basis that's rooted in our evolutionary psychology and evolutionary biology, or this appears to be the case, because when I've worked with a whole heap of people from a whole heap of different cultures, these violation of the 6 agreements creating profoundly negative emotional states appears to be consistent cross-culturally. So what are they? Well, the first one is you agree to have a relationship where one person doesn't take advantage of the other, and you agree to meet each other's needs equally and fairly. So this is the kind of the fairness agreement. If one person feels like they're being taken advantage of, or one person feels like what's going on is unfair, or alternatively, where one person feels like the person who showed up at the beginning of the relationship isn't who's showing up now, and that's actually an unfair thing, then often really negative emotional states will be created when they feel like they're being treated unfairly. So that's one. The next two is a creation agreement, which is why you're choosing to be together. So if, say for example, 2 people get together in a relationship and they agree to be travel buddies and travel the world and have lots of adventures, but then they fall pregnant and all of a sudden they're stuck in one place, caring for a small person for the next 20 years, then often one person will go, hang on, this isn't what I signed up for. What I'm getting isn't what I wanted. Another example of a violation of the creation agreement is when you, for example, a couple get together and they decide that they're going to have a family, and so the moment the kids show up, then the husband ends up doing 60, 80 hours a week at work. He's never around, and then the wife or female in the relationship looks at what's going on and says, hang on, this isn't exactly what I signed up for, because I wanted someone to be around and my partner's never around. And that feels like a violation of the creation agreement. So that's a common example of a violation of the creation agreement that produces profoundly negative emotional states. The next one is the being there agreement. Now, this is really quite intense. So the being there agreement exists when the shit hits a fan, where something really bad happens, you agree to be there for your partner when really bad stuff's going down. For example, if you had a car accident and you were taken to the hospital, you'd want your partner to come in and to quit what they're doing and to be there for you. Or, if you're giving birth, you'd want your partner to leave work. But if that doesn't happen, say for example, you have a car accident and your partner says, are you okay? Or I'll get off work in about 4 hours. I'll see you in 4 hours. People get very, very upset if the being there agreement is violated. So that's the being there agreement. The next one is a monogamy agreement. Now that would appear to be self-explanatory. Now some people agree to not be monogamous. So for example, an open relationship, and if both people have that agreement, then that's fine, and that they have to negotiate the boundaries of that. But for the most part, most people agree to be monogamous. Now, If one person violates that agreement, well, then people can get very, very upset. Next one is tolerating each other's difference. Now, that increases in importance as time goes by, but people have gotten divorced because of how one person puts the dishes in the dishwasher, because their partner simply is unable to tolerate their partner's difference. Often in a relationship, one person will try to have their limitations in the way they do things control the relationship. And if they succeed, then both people lose. So it's really important to tolerate each other's difference. Your partner isn't the same as you, and you're not the same as them. So there needs to be a middle ground about how you do things. And the intolerance of difference is very important. And the final one is sexual needs. When you get together in a monogamous long-term relationship, which is where most relationships are, when you agree to get together in a monogamous long-term relationship, then you agree to meet each other's sexual needs. Because by virtue of the definition of monogamy, that you're only going to have sex with one person, therefore you more or less agree to meet each other's sexual needs. Now these can change over time. They can change for many different reasons. For example, kids, young babies, tend to kill desire in women for sex. And for depression in men tends to kill desire in men for sex. There's a whole heap of different things that can put the brakes on sexual desire. That said, over a long period of time, if someone's sexual needs aren't met, then people get very, very, very upset. And so it's really important to recognize that sexual needs, or meeting each other's sexual needs within the bounds of a monogamous relationship, is very important. Is a common agreement that needs to be made, or is made. And if it's not fulfilled, then negative emotional states will be created. So the reason why I wanted to make a video over this is because if you're feeling dissatisfaction in your relationship, or if something's happened and you can't put a handle on it, can't put a finger on it, then often you can trace back that feeling of dissatisfaction, that feeling of upsetness, that feeling of pissed offness. You can often track back to one of these agreements not being held up. Now, every relationship is a continuous renegotiation. You're renegotiating the bounds of the agreements you make all the time, right? For example, the being there agreement. If you agree to be there for each other, but for whatever reason, you can't, as in you travel overseas for your work, you can't actually be there for your partner when bad shit happens. It's useful to know, to recognize that that's the case, all right? That you wanted to but couldn't. But if you can but can't, then that's when there's violation of that agreement. And so if your relationship's in crisis, or there's stuff going on you're really, really upset about, check the agreements. Has one of those been violated? And if they have, then you need to have a solid talking to your partner about how you can avoid those being violated again. Alternatively, if you want guidance for that conversation, please give me a call on 0432 681 321. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to giving you some more positive content. If you want to book in for a session, please go to rapidcouplescounselling.com.au, and there'll be a calendar link on there, and you can book in for a session on rapidcouplescounselling.com.au. Thanks very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.